Entering a hoarding environment for the first time can be quite overwhelming for anyone, myself included. And so what I like to use is the Institute for Challenging Disorganization Clutter Hoarding Scale. It's a tool that allows you to assess a residential environment in terms of health and safety and comfort. It has 4 levels that you use to do the assessment. So you're looking at the structure and zoning of the house. So we're talking about sofas and fridges that have migrated outdoors, blocked exits, narrowed pathways, those sort of things. It looks secondly at pets and rodents. I shouldn't call them pests, pets and rodents. And so you're looking to see if there's rats and fleas and those sort of things, and also how animals are being looked after, because in a lot of hoarding homes they don't necessarily have more animals than other homes, but the kitty litter box isn't being emptied and the fish tank isn't being cleaned, and things aren't being done. It also looks at household function, so whether rooms are being used for their intended purpose, whether appliances are working, whether extension cords are running all over the place. And it looks at health and safety. So, are the kitchen benches heavily soiled? Is there medication that's expired? All of those sorts of things. So by using that, I can go into an environment and assess it on these clear parameters, instead of having this very emotional reaction to the environment and feeling quite overwhelmed by it. It also gives anyone entering the house a common language, so we know what we're talking about. I can say to you, this is a level 3 house because this, and this, and you understand what I mean. It's also good for setting goals, because I can say, look, the kitchen in this home is a level 3, and we're going to do this, and this to dial it back to a level 2. So we have a very clear understanding of what we're going to achieve. And I'm not saying to you, oh, it's going to be a radical makeover, it's going to look like Better Homes and Gardens in the end. I'm saying we're going to take it from here to there, and it's how we're going to do it. So it takes a lot of the overwhelm out of an overwhelming environment. Yes, definitely. There's some good approaches to working in these environments. And the first thing, I think, is to focus on safety. Partly because safety is the most important thing in the environment, but partly because engaging the client in a conversation about safety is far less judgmental than engaging them in a conversation about how much stuff they need to get rid of. And ultimately, I'm going to get rid of a lot of stuff, but over-focusing on the discarding conversation can be counterproductive in those early stages. The second thing I say to people is focus on the things with low emotional involvement. So if somebody loves their videotapes, don't go in and tell them they need less videotapes. Go in and find the 20 years of phone books that have been piling up that came in and never went out, and get rid of those. And by getting rid of those things that they're not that attached to, you can build up some momentum and build some trust before you move on to the more difficult things. The other mistake I see people make is setting up a situation for what I call analysis paralysis. So if I were to say to you, do you need this? Do you need this? Do you need this? What do you want this for? How many of these can you use? You'd very quickly get worn down and probably want to hit me as well. Whereas if the client will allow me to handle their things, I can quite quickly pull like things together. And I can say to you, oh, do you need this stack of Target catalogs? And they can either say yes or no, and we have a decision that's easy. So, avoid the analysis paralysis. The other thing is just be prepared for the environment that you're going into, and make sure you have long pants, long sleeves, covered shoes. I don't apologize for wearing gloves, and I don't apologize for wearing a mask if it's necessary, but I do let the client know that it's about me. It's about me being so sensitive. It's not about their environment, so I don't want them to feel bad about it. And I also have so many garbage bags that you know, you don't want to not be able to take things out because you don't have anything to take them out in. And the final thing I always say is be prepared to remove whatever they've agreed to let go of on the day. So whether that's putting it in your own car or getting a rubbish removalist immediately on the spot, be prepared to take it out on that day, because when you've got to strike when the iron's hot, and if you leave things there, they will migrate back into the house and you'll end up dealing with them all over again. I think people who hoard, there's already a stigma attached to any sort of brain difference. I think it's a politically correct word to use now. But when that brain difference shows itself in your physical environment for everyone to see, it's a double whammy. So people who have been hoarding have generally had a lot of they've got a lot of shame about their situation, because people can come in and look at their environment and go, why do you live like this? How can you live like this? Why don't you just clean it up? As if it was that easy. And so they've had a lot of judgment about the way they live. And so to be able to come in and meet people where they're at in an understanding way and help them create a plan to move forward is very rewarding. And the thing I find about my hoarding clients is there's an idea in the community that these people are, you know, a certain sort of way. They might be messy or lazy, or they're all really, they're poor, or they're this or they're that. But these are people who cross all sorts of socioeconomic groups. They do all sorts of work. I have a hoarding client who's a bank manager. I have one who's a school teacher. I have one who's an ambulance driver. These are people who are functioning very effectively in parts of their life, but another part of their life is just gone off kilter. So generally they're nice people, they're intelligent people, they're a lot of times fun people to work with, and I think being able to help them through that difficult patch is very rewarding. People often ask me, you know, what the most radical change I've seen is, and they're really looking for the big Oprah reveal, and I just don't have any to deliver. And I have before and after pictures from clients, and a lot of people think the after is the before, because, you know, we're not dealing in a normal situation where, you know, we're going to go from, you know, messy to something sparkling. I consider success with clients to be when we've brought their home to a level that's safe and comfortable, and they're carrying on managing, to manage the acquiring. They're not bringing as much stuff in, and the stuff they're bringing in, they're dealing with, so it's put away, and they can function in the home. That's like a real picture of success to me. But it's not very glamorous, and it's not very, you know, it's not what people are really looking for in terms of, you know, the big exciting change. One client that really stands out in my mind, though, is a school teacher. She was a 34-year-old school teacher who hadn't dated for about 10 years, because she knew that if she met somebody, ultimately that person would expect to come to her home, and that, you know, then they'd find out her dirty secret and it would all be over. So we got her home to a level where she was ready to date, and she went on a date, and I think I was more excited than she was. So, you know, it's these little things that wouldn't mean a lot to a lot of people that are big changes in the life of a hoarding client.